Hi, good evening all. So I hope you guys are able to see my screen. So today the topic is like story point estimation, and I'm going to discuss all the story points methodology, how we are doing that, and why we need this story estimation point. So the user story points. So what are the story points? So basically, why we need a story point? So a story point is nothing but it's a methodology to estimate the user story, and we need to provide us some values to finish our task for the user stories. So, so using this user story, like it's a relative scale used for estimating effort to complete a user story. And the thing is like all the development team or entire Scrum should have to understand the way how we need to provide the story points. And using the story point, it's there are lots of techniques where using those techniques we are able to provide the story points for the user stories. And there's a lots of things we need to consider for providing the story points, that is called CUE is nothing but it's a complexity, unknown, and efforts. And it also allows us for the meaningful metrics and reporting for showcasing all those data to our management, like how the team is performing and how they are delivering with respect to the product. So basically, like these story points are not directly correlated to the development hours. So like normally in current scenario, what happened, most of the companies are doing story points, and they are just correlated the story points with the hours. That is like kind of wrong methods they are using, and it should not happen when we are providing the story points. So why use story points needed? So basically story points are relative. So a story that is assigned a two should be twice as much as a story assigned as one. So basically what happened whenever we are comparing two user stories, so those are relatively compared. Hello. Okay.
Yeah, and we go ahead.
Yep. So basically, whenever we are providing a story point, so like if we are comparing two user stories, so what happened? Like one user stories, it should be doubled to the another user story. So then only we are able to break the further user stories. And the comparison, not the comparison, the relativity. So if we are comparing two user stories with the estimation points, like I'm giving a one is 2.68 or another one is 3.20, so we can't compare these two user stories with respect to the story points, because we are not able to define what we need to do and what we need to cover for both the user stories. With the user stories points, we are very accurate. We are providing a very good planning timings and like predictables when we are have the release dates with respect to the working when we are finishing our backlogs. It's very good to making all the plannings with respect to the release and all those things. And the best thing is the collaboration, the team collaboration, because the team is provide the estimations and team are able to understand what they have to deliver it. They are discussing to each other during the planning meeting. What is a story point? So basically, like if we can understand this, we have our backlog that is not estimated. We have all the stories without any estimations. So the whenever we are product owner is creating a backlog, uh, first thing is all the user stories are not estimated. Now, what we are doing basically, like we are comparing our backlog user stories with the baseline story. So baseline story is nothing but it's a relative user story where which one we did in our past, and we are making that as like how much story points we spent on this user story, and we are comparing that user story with the new upcoming or maybe the backlog user stories. That is kind of like we can understand like in the past, what are the things we did for the user stories and what we need further to development for the new user story. So that we are making a baseline user story that is already completed, and we are taking that user story as a baseline, and we are comparing that user story with the new user stories which is in our backlog, and we are sizing those new user stories with respect to the baseline user story. So what happened here? So uh,
Avinash, this is not clear. I mean, if you have baselined point 3 and then
mhm.
we are baselining, how is it done? Can you please detail it out, please?
Can you repeat your question again?
So you have made a baseline of point 3, right?
Yes.
And on the basis of it, you are further making the story points, right?
Yes.
So if we say point 5, it is taking 3 into consideration. It is point 5. What is its relation with baseline?
Yes. So basically, see, in a past, I have a one user story that is my baseline, and that is we gave only three story points. Now, what happened? That story points we covered, like we discussed during our planning meeting. What are the things we did for that? Like we did development. Development contains our design time. We did some spike works for that. We did some unit testing. We did some feature development. So likewise, we divided multiple tasks, and those tasks I calculated as a 3 point. Now coming up now new user story. So new user story, we created most of the tasks whatever we did for the baseline, and now we are able to see some of the tasks we are going to be create extra tasks we are creating for the new user story, like might be a tuning, like performance testing, and we need more extra integration testing for this user story. So the as compared to the baseline user story, we need some extra time for this new feature development. So with respect to uh, when we are taking the relatively tasks, so most of the tasks we already cover in the 3 units, and now we already created two more users to two more tasks for that current user story. So we are adding more user points on this new user stories.
Okay, it's like we have baselined the tasks, and then in case there are other tasks, we'll add more more
Exactly.
points,
So
right?
means it's, yeah, it
Yeah.
depends on the team understanding. Like, see,
Okay.
it's not always be a task. So the team is discussing, like we need some, again the acceptance criteria is also there. So if the acceptance criteria is more or same, then we need to provide a same user story points. But again, if we are seeing the acceptance criteria is having more work, then we can provide a more user stories for the sorry user story points for the current story.
Yeah, I think, and we can also like based on complexity, like three pointer story. Now we are comparing with a new story that how it's more complex than prior. So then we can.
Yeah, exactly. So the complexity we are considering. So again, so baseline user story we identified, like this user story we spent for 3 units in the past. So
Right.
again, the complexity is coming on when we are providing extra time, or we are thinking like we need to do some more work on that. Then the complexity is coming
Right.
here. Now we come like why we estimate this. So why we need a estimation for a user story? So without estimating anything we can't do. So everything is dependent on our estimations, like our plan, our schedule, our hiring, our price, costing, investments, everything is coming on the estimations. So if we are able to provide a better estimation, then we are able to identify our release plans in a better way. We can plan our schedules of the deliveries, like sprint 2, sprint 3. We can schedule all the means, on time. There is no slippage of the user stories for the one sprint to the another sprint. The hiring side, like we need more resources or we need a less resources on that. We can we can provide the costing of our releases, like we can estimate our product release costing on with the estimations itself. So there are lots of things are coming when we are providing the estimate. So we should be more clear on our estimation part when we are providing, the team is providing this estimations during our planning meeting or maybe a grooming meeting. So who will estimate? So my thought is like all the stakeholders can provide the estimations. So during from the first stage, when the requirement is coming from the business people, so their estimations like they need delivery for this product maybe in another quarter or maybe a 2 quarter time. So that is the high level estimations they are giving to the business people, those at the end of the day who are going to use this product. I'll get an example like I have we can take any example like Facebook or Gmail or any like online portals or anything like the customers want new features, so we can get all the feedbacks, and the business value team members like marketing people or sales people, they can commit like maybe a next release or maybe a quarter release we will deliver this much of things. That is the high level estimations. And when we are coming to the further peoples like our product owner or product managers, then they are also providing their estimations to the team like this is my target line and we have to achieve all those things. So in another way, all the stakeholders can provide the estimations. So here the thing, it's a big picture, like who are the part of this estimations: the business stakeholders, business SMEs, program manager, and release manager. And the core team which contain our development, or another way we can call it a Scrum team. So Scrum teams contain our product owner, solution architect, all the cross-functional teams, cross-functional developers, all business system analysts, everybody, they are providing the estimations. And basically in a Scrum team, when the product owner is describing their user stories or their plan about the release, then this solution architect, tester, development team, business system analyst, Scrum master, all are responsible to provide the estimations for the user stories. When do we estimate these stories? So again, as I told you, the stories, if you're talking about the stories, so stories are going to be estimate when we starting our development for any feature. The estimations which is coming from the business leaders or market leaders, they are not providing the estimations for the user stories. They are providing the estimation for their feature release. They are providing the feature estimation for the initiatives or entire product release. When the thing is coming from the product owner, then we need to provide, the Scrum team have to provide the story point for the user stories. They have to estimate all these things. So during the grooming meeting, we have to provide the estimations. So the grooming meeting, whenever the team is providing the estimations during the grooming meeting, it's like high level estimations they are providing. It's not accurate because during the grooming meeting, the product owner is showcasing all his requirements, all the whatever the requirements he needs till delivery. Then when we are coming to the sprint planning, so the team from the grooming day to the planning meeting, they can work together, they can collaboratively work together to understand what they have to deliver it, and they have to thought about the delivery prospect, how much they want, how much time they have to spend to development of this feature. And they can like take their own techniques, not own techniques, like some of the techniques called poker game or maybe some bucket sizing games. So through that, they can provide their estimations. Why story points, not ours? The reason is like we are like human beings. So we can't provide the original estimates on a accurate data. So through this Standish group survey, they are like finding 68% people are failing to provide the original estimates. So the 68% people are failing means they are providing the estimates with hours, or maybe they are considering some units like hours or maybe days or some other unit. So that's why they are feeling like today I'm committing like within a 4 days I'm able to deliver these much of features. But after 4 days I'm realized like some of the things is still missing. I didn't consider all those stuffs during my estimations. So it means like my estimations, whenever I'm going to provide estimations with some unit level like hours or days, definitely it's going to be fake. Story points, why are they better than the hours? So if we are talking about the story points, they give more accurate estimates. They reduce the planning time. It's like we are able to get our release dates on early dates. Like it's a predictive. The prediction is very accuracy, so the team can perform. The team can improve their performance while giving the story point. Means when they give the estimations via story points. If we are providing the R's, so the problem with the R's is like it will create a like n number of amounts of wastage during this when we are developing all those stuffs. Product owner is not able to understand when the release is planning, when the release is coming out. It's like every time it's going to be a mess, and the team is not able to deliver whatever they committed during the planning meeting. The reason for this, because software projects are complex. They are like when we are estimating, most of the times like people are missing some of the aspects of the developments. So that's why if we are talking about the arts, it's really tough to providing the estimations as the software is complex. If the system is very small or like everything is clear, then we can go ahead and we will take the units like hours or days. But the system is complex and we are still depending on the other stuffs, then the days and hours is really tough. So in that case, we should always use the story points. And the story points, it's a relative things that is coming from all the baseline user stories. So this picture, I'm talking about that for our complexity. So if we are talking about this solution, so definitely if someone is asking me to solve this traffic issues, so I'm not going to resolve this traffic issues in a daytime or hour time. I need to understand this complexity. I need to understand the dependency. If I remove all those things, what will be the pros and cons will come for me during my development, or maybe to resolving this, to providing the solution for this. Are we not good at estimations? The reason is like sometimes the deceptions are best and worst cases. Acceptable numbers are very high. Project is very big, and also the biggest challenge is the software project is complex. If anything is complex, we can't provide the estimations into hours or days. We need to provide always the estimation into the story points, and that is into the relative things. So here the thing is like basically our development or anything whatever we are going to be deliver, that is maybe a complex or complicated or chaotic or a simple. So there the four quarters we have. So if it is a complex, so the complex is like it's really tough to provide the estimations on a units like a days or hours. So what we need to do, it's a kind of, we should be go step by step. First we need to take a first step to deliver that, and then we need to go to the further steps. It's kind of like continuously deliverable. Now we are coming on to the second quarter, that is complicated. So complicated is a good practice, but again it's kind of it's again the complexity is coming here also. Like if we divided one big complex into two number things, then again the complex part we are taking again, and then it's going to be a hassle for us to deliver entire things. And the best practice always be for the simple thing. So if we are making a simple is means like we have to take a very small part and do work on that and to deliver that. If we are delivering a very small thing and in a better way or in a better quality time period, then it will be always a good for a customer and for our organization for a growth. So again, when we are doing a story points, it's always be a more accurate when we are comparing the size. So comparing a size, it means like always when the team is estimating any of the user stories, they should. Hello.
Sorry, it got mistake.
Okay. So whenever we are comparing a user stories with the baseline, then always the team is able to provide the accuracy of the estimations for the commitment side. So if they are going to miss again, again, like if they are considering again all the units story points with respect to the hours or days, it always be a difficult to provide the accurate data or accurate estimations for any of the user stories. So here in picture you can see like again So in a team, we have some members, like they are kind of new members, and some people are very experienced. So if we are talking about the estimation part, so the experienced people, they will give more accuracy as compared to the new members who are the like just now they joined the company, or maybe they are the freshers and they don't know about the estimations and all those techniques. So that is really tough for the new peoples to providing the estimations, and always they are uh, going to towards this hours and days estimations. And if the team is moving to the days and hours estimations, then it's really tough to manage entire things from means like as well as scrum master as well as the product owner. Now, the estimations part, the user stories, we are providing the story points, some different techniques. So some people are using the team's t-shirt size, some people are using odd even numbers, some people are using the Fibonacci sequences. So from my understanding, like the Fibonacci sequences is very good technique to provide the estimations or story points. Because it's the comparing between one story points to two story points, it's really uh, easy to compare when we are comparing a two story points to four story points stories. So again, in a picture, if you see, like in my first picture, we can see like one tiger is there and one lion. So if we are comparing these, the 1 unit, we can see. But when we are calculating the 1 unit with the bear, so it's almost double size. So it's really tough to manage to comparing big things like from two story points to four story points. So it's very good practices. Like if we are considering 4 unit points or 5 unit points, we should go further break for the user stories. Then only we can understand like, yeah, this one user story points, if we are comparing with the small story points or a big story points, we can break the big story points for the smaller user stories. There is an improvement always, like if the team is starting from the sprint 1 to sprint 2, sprint 3, sprint 4, whenever we are estimating, the team is providing the estimations with respect to the story points, always be there is a improvement. They are not it's not like every time they are delivering just like for first sprint they are giving 40 units, the next sprint they are still giving 40 units, and next, no. When we are considering the story points, every time there is a improvement, we are able to see an improvement in the team, and they will deliver a more thing with respect to the previous sprint. So means in my picture, if you can see, like in a sprint 1, they are new, they are trying to learn, and just they are able to walk only just to 20 kilometers. Next sprints, they got some experience, they got some energy from the team, from the management, they are able to deliver 30 kilometers. Now the next sprint, they are more experienced, they are kind of the stakeholders giving more confident on the team, and then they are giving more units with respect to the 40 kilometers. So when we are moving one sprint to the another sprint, so always we are able to see a improvement in the team with respect to the delivery side with their commitment. Now we are coming to the like facilitation guide. Who are the key players and steps to estimating a user story? So as we discussed in our previous slides also, like who are the key players, who are the responsibles for the providing the estimations, the product owner, the business system analyst, scrum master, the development, everybody who are the part of the scrum team, they are the responsible for providing the estimations, for accurate estimations, because at the end of the day, everybody have to deliver something, and the delivery is the responsible for entire team, not a single person. Means it's not responsible for the product owner, it's not the responsible for the delivery part is not responsible, it's not alone responsible for the business analyst, for the scrum team or the development team. The entire thing is the entire team is responsible for the delivery. And if the entire team is working on a collaboration mode, they will provide a better estimations, a better accuracy, and through this better estimations and better accuracy, we will able to do a better planning, better release deliveries, and all those stuffs. Now, what are the techniques are available for providing the story points? So the first is like poker game. So no, means where we have basically two type of techniques: the online poker game and the bucket size. So first we'll go see the poker game. So what is the poker game? So the poker game is nothing but it's a team game where when we are doing our planning meeting, the product owner is describing the requirements or user story, and he's discussing about the acceptance criteria. This is the acceptance criteria for the delivery part, and the team is discussing to each other, and then they are playing the poker game. And during the poker game, what happened, the team have to showcase, or like every team member have to tell a number, story points. It's either Fibonacci series or team size, t-shirt size, or maybe odd even number to calculating the estimate, to calculating the feature release. So here the thing is, like, sometimes what happened, the team members providing a different numbers, like some team members providing the give, they gave 1 unit, some team members providing the 3 units, some team members asking for 4 units. So when the team is kind of like providing a different number, they have to discuss to each other and to understand like why they gave the other team members given the lower numbers, and why the other team members provided the bigger numbers. Because sometimes what happened, the people are experienced, some people are very low experienced, so they are not able to understand the aspects of that user stories. Like with this user story to development of this feature, what we need to cover all those things. So after discussion, after working on a collaboration mode, they will come up with a single unit story points, and that is the final estimation for any of the user story. So again, if the team is, once they are like accepting, like they are considering, yeah, we need 5 units, so we can discuss with the team, with the product owner, like if there is a possibility to break this user story in a further story points, or like, or maybe a different user stories, then it's really good. Because if we are working on a small user story, it's really good with respect of for our delivery of aspects. Another method is like bucket size. So this is good for when the team is cross-functional. So the team is the Scrum team having a development team, QA and testing team members, documentation guy, performance team, and then they are providing their own estimations. Like for development, we need this much of story points. For QA and testing, we need this much of story points, and documentation and performance, we need this much of times. And we are like adding all those story points, units to unit points, and we are showcasing to the product owner, we need this much of units to develop entire feature. Now, as we discussed on the baseline stories, so baseline stories, we need to we have to discuss with the team, like which one is our baseline story. Whenever we are doing a planning meeting, always we should use a one baseline story, user story. It should not be it should not be the case like every new sprint we are taking a new basis user stories and we are discussing with the team. Because what happened, whenever we are taking a new baseline stories, then it will be tough to provide the estimations every time, because all the user stories are different. All the like whenever we are providing the estimations, that technique is always a different whenever we are comparing with the previous ones. So we should take a one baseline user story, and that will be that user story should be till our 4 or 5 sprints. And after that, the team is well enough, they can provide a better estimations without even baseline user stories also. So again, here, as I told you, like there always be a improvement for the estimations. So we can improve in our estimations with the help when we do our inspect and adaptive. So whenever we are doing a grooming meeting, we should always see our backlogs, like previous sprint user stories, and we need to learn there, like how we did the past estimations and how we come out some of the wrong estimations. And if we are doing our inspections with the previous sprints, then always means we will be, the team will give a better estimations every time whenever they are coming to the new sprint. So that is called a adaptive. So we should learn with our past and with this learning, we should adapt the new things when we are providing a new estimations for the new sprint. So again, this is kind of what are the takeaway we are going to be take with this presentation. So estimation is a skill, it required a practice. So without practice, if we are doing any estimations, always be it will be a failure. Now what happened, like with my experience, I'm still seeing most of the people, they are telling like we are providing the estimations with with respect to the story points. But again, they are providing the story points and they are relating these story points with hours and days. So story points is not, it's not a simple game, it's a skill, and it requires a practice. Without practice, we can't provide the best estimations. We need to understand the baseline stories, which is accepted by the team members. If we are not understanding the baseline stories, again, we are going to be failed, and we are moving towards the providing the user story points relatively, means it's relative to the units like hours and days. Baseline story should not be changed from the sprint to sprint as the team is fast. Like the team is matured enough. Till then, we should not change the baseline user stories. And the another point is like make the comparison based on the effort, not the complexity, not the business values. So if we are comparing anything with our efforts, or like with complexity or with business values, then again we are going to be like failed with respect to the estimation part. So here, like whenever we are providing estimations, so the team should do estimation exercise. Like as I told you, like two methods, poker game as well as the bucket sizing. The team should always do some exercises on that when they are coming for the planning meeting. Because if they are coming without do any exercise, then again it will be a really tough to providing the estimations. Because if they are playing poker game and they are sticks with their own provided points, then it's like it's going to be a waste of the time for entire scrum teams. So we should uh, try estimations exercise on a regular basis. Another, try the team should always to check their baseline user stories. If the team is not accepting the baseline user stories, then it's really tough to providing the estimations again. Because if we are not ready with the baseline story and we are coming for the planning meeting without any baseline or without any techniques, then the again providing the estimations, it's really tough. And we are going back again to providing the units like hours and days. But again, the team is thinking we are providing the story points. Yeah, that's all from my side. So if you have any questions, you can ask.
Yeah, I have one question. Like, as you suggest that we should have one baseline story. So I'm
Yeah.
asking that. I think we should have like normally story point we are using 3, 5, 8, 13. Normally we are using. So can we make like one baseline for three, one baseline for 5, one baseline for 8, and one for 13? And then this is the common story point which we are normally taken in a sprint. So if we have like different baseline story for different complexity, then it will be easy to like identify new story.
So again, whatever you suggested, that is fine. But again, if you think for the agile prospect or any of the development side, it's really tough if you are estimating a 30 unit story point or
13 not
8 is
13 not 13, I'm saying 13, 1 3.
yeah, I'm asking, I'm also telling 13 only. So 13 is really tough. See, again, if you are my manager and you're asking on which you have to deliver these things and I'm giving a 13 units, so it's really tough to manage because you have to understand like why I need to take this much of units. Like you need to understand all the aspects. So it's better we should break all the 30 units into a further bricks, like maybe a 5, 5, 3, And if still needed further breaks, to break this 5 with 3-2. So the 3-2, 3-3, because the thing is like, if you plan for your sprints, then it's really good if we are able to deliver 3 or 5 units in a sprint. So you can showcase your team or stakeholders, we are able to deliver at least 5 units for this sprint. If you're taking a 13 units, it's really tough to showcase anything to the customer or a stakeholders for the next two to three sprints. So the confidence level, to get that confidence level, we should break out all those big story points into a small story points. That's why I'm telling you, we should always be take a baseline user stories at 3 estimated points. And with respect to, if you are able to find a user story, whatever your team is doing now, that is estimating 5, you can further go and break down that with 3 and 2. So 3 is already with your baseline, and 2 you can understand, yeah, we need lesser time with as compared to the baseline user story.
Okay, okay, got it.
Any other have any questions?
Yeah, one question from my side. So, are you able to hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, actually, I am facing some network issues. I was just.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
So, you said, yeah, so you suggested we would only consider for non-competitive, like hybrid now. Where I read, so we should, while doing the story processing, we should consider the amount of our complexity and risk dependency.
I'm not able to understand your question. It's breaking. It's too much breaking.
Yeah, it's breaking.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
Or maybe
are
you
you
can
able
speak
to hear me
lit-
now?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So, let me repeat it.
You can move a little bit around somewhere so that network.
Nitin, your voice is still breaking.
In
Hello, hi. Nitin, you can just write the query in your question, like in the message here.
Okay.
Any other questions from other people's?
Hi, Avnish. This is Bhavna from Skill.
Yeah, Bhavna.
Are you, like everything is done right?
Yes, Bhavna.
I just wanted to thank you for the webinar and every other participant for joining. And I'll just take 2 minutes. I just have to give a screen share of how they can provide a feedback to your training.
Yeah, sure. I'm just closing my
So
sharing.
you just have to stop sharing.
Yeah.
Yeah, here it is. Stop share. Thank you. Hello everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we are.
This is this website. This is the software. So for first thing that you need to do is you have to log in. If you haven't logged in, okay. And this is going to be the home page. Here, this is the training of Avinash.
It's Anvesh, Bhavna.
Sorry.
It's okay.
And you have this link, right?
Right, we have the link.
Yes. And here this section, you'll find this feedback section here. Can you see it?
Right.
The
Yeah,
feedback,
we want to see.
and there this form will appear. You fill your task to the training, write everything, whatever you feel like about the training, about the webinar of today. And if still you feel any sort of problem while giving a feedback or anything, you can just contact on this number here. This is a company number. You can WhatsApp on it and I'll just make sure that I respond to you as soon as possible. Is that okay?
Yeah, that will okay.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Anvesh.
Thank you, Suji.
Thanks all. Thanks.